Sega has tried the whole Sonic racing game thing a few times in the past, but to be honest, those attempts weren't quite good enough to compete with the likes of what Nintendo was doing. Fast forward to 2010 and Sega releases Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. This one was handled by Sumo Digital, the same people who developed Outrun 2, so right off the bat they have some credibility as far as racing titles go. Whereas games like Sonic Riders featured these surfboard-looking things, this game features vehicles in the form of cars, bikes, and hovercrafts. There are over 20 racers from different Sega franchises to choose from. Along with the obvious selection of Sonic and Friends, you'll see the likes of II from Super Monkey Ball, Beat from Jet Set Radio, BD Joe from Crazy Taxi, and a few others like Banjo and Kazooie, which is an Xbox 360 exclusive. There were plans to include Toe Jam and Earl, but issues over rights to the characters prevented them from making the game. The game's hidden characters will need to be unlocked by purchasing them with Sega Miles, which can be earned by winning races. The game doesn't feature any kind of backstory, which honestly is alright with me. I mean, it's just a mashup mascot racer. Throwing a story into the mix would probably just overcomplicate things. The gameplay is very similar to that of Mario Kart, complete with boosts that are earned by drifting. Weapons also play a huge part of each race, with pickups scattered throughout each stage. The weapons are pretty standard stuff for the genre, including speed boosts, rockets, shields, and mines. There are also a few visual weapons like the rainbow, which distracts your opponent with a wave of colors, or the confusion star that flips and mirrors your screen, making it extremely difficult to control. Each character also possesses the ability to perform an all-star move, which is a special attack that is earned from a weapon pickup. These, like the blue shells in Mario Kart, will only appear when a player is struggling to keep up with the other racers. These moves vary from player to player, but they all consist of the ability to race ahead at a higher speed, giving the player an opportunity to catch up. Each vehicle features unique speed, acceleration, and handling characteristics, as well as ratings for boost and all-star moves. Certain vehicles will fare better on specific terrains. For example, vehicles that hover aren't affected by terrain that might cause slowdown to a car, but due to their hovering nature, they might be a little harder to handle. Like I mentioned, vehicles can earn a temporary boost by drifting. Drifting can be performed by pressing and holding the left trigger on the Xbox 360 controller. The longer the drift duration, the more powerful the boost. This will become not only necessary to win races, but also quite addicting. Another way to earn boost is by performing tricks in the air after hitting jumps. The boost will be rewarded to the player as soon as they land the jump. The controls here are extremely polished, resulting in not only responsive but intensely entertaining gameplay as well. Veterans to the kart racer genre should feel right at home here, while newcomers should be able to pick up the game instantly without feeling discouraged. A complement to the near-flawless controls are the 24 levels that bring this world to life. Each stage represents a Sega franchise and features jumps, turns, shortcuts, and pretty incredible scenery. The level of detail in these tracks is really what helps bring this game to life. Each franchise is represented well, and it's not hard to tell which world you've become a part of, whether it's the bright, colorful ocean side of a Sonic level or the dark, creepy graveyards from House of the Dead. You'll almost want to stop just so you can actually take notice of everything the game has to offer. Everything looks great here, and visually I don't think we could have asked for much more other than maybe a fix to the occasional slowdown, but even that is rarely a problem. The game consists of two main modes of play, Mission and Grand Prix. Once again, just like Mario Kart, Grand Prix consists of different cup series, each containing 4 races. There are 3 difficulties to select from, and each is pretty true to their name. I find Beginner to be pretty realistic, not offering too much of a challenge, while Expert makes me want to smash my controller into a million pieces. The mission mode consists of over 60 tasks that need to be completed over the course of various tracks. These missions include the likes of collecting coins, drifting through specific areas of a level, or performing as much boost as possible. Each mission is rated, with AAA being the highest score a player can get. To be honest, I'm not usually a huge fan of side games like this that don't contain much substance, but I found these extremely addicting as I couldn't stop trying to earn a AAA score for each mission. And what kart racer would be complete without an awesome soundtrack? All-Stars Racing features many classic, remixed, familiar Sega themes from the past. From the very first stage, it's clear that if you grew up a Sega fan, those nostalgic juices are going to start flowing. On top of all this, the game features an announcer. He'll provide commentary during the races, often making comments about what a certain player is doing and who's leading the pack. Surprisingly, I really enjoy this feature as I feel it really adds to the overall experience. I really can't say enough about this one. It's neck and neck with Mario Kart in my opinion, and maybe even better in certain aspects. I was about a year late to the party, as when I actually purchased the game they were already developing the sequel. And in 2012, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed was released. Upon first glance, the transformed part scared me a bit, as it seemed they added some kind of unneeded gimmick to an already great game mechanic, but that wasn't the case at all. This game would focus on 3 vastly different vehicle types in the form of cars, boats, and planes, similar to the basis of Diddy Kong Racing. But unlike that game, you don't select between the 3. Instead, as the title implies, your vehicle will transform to a different form of transportation depending on the track layout. So you might be traveling along the road and all of a sudden, bam, you're falling into a body of water, transforming into a boat. It definitely sounds a bit cheesy, but it works oh so well. This time around, there are a total of 30 characters to choose from, including some returning players from last year like Sonic and Friends, Amigo, and Alex Kidd. Characters like Knights and Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph are new to the franchise. Even Danica Patrick made the list of playable characters. Just like the last game, each vehicle features different characteristics, but unlike before, you can now earn XP during races, which can be used to upgrade vehicle attributes. Other than the new transformation feature, the gameplay remains the same. You can still drift and stunt for boost, and weapons still play a heavy role in each race. Speaking of weapons, there are a lot of new additions here, including snowballs that freeze an enemy, engines that can boost your speed, and wasps that swarm the front of the pack. Coins are a new addition that can be picked up during races, which can be used for a bonus slot machine game in between races. These games can grant the player upgrades like the ability to recover faster after taking damage. There are 17 new tracks, with 4 returning from the last game. And just like before, these new tracks are based on Sega franchises with new additions like Golden Axe, Shinobi, Knights, and Afterburner. The big difference this time around is that tracks now feature their own transformation between laps, offering a different experience as you progress. This is something that caught me off guard when I first played the game, but really impressed me as well, and it definitely adds to the replay value. These levels are more detailed than ever, with so much going on that it's almost distracting at times, but I really can't stress how good everything looks here. And the slowdown issues that plagued the last game are nowhere to be had here. While the Grand Prix mode makes a return, the main gameplay mode here is World Tour. This mixes a combination of races, duels, and other challenges, similar to the missions seen in the last game. The levels are mapped out with branching paths, with stars needed to advance to different areas. Whereas the previous game allowed the player to unlock characters and levels with in-game currency, here unlockables are earned with stars. As races and challenges are completed on higher difficulties, more stars can be earned. So, if you feel like earning the minimum amount of stars it takes to reach the end, you can, but you won't experience everything, including unlockables, unless you really challenge yourself and aim for more stars. On top of all this, Transformed also features an incredible soundtrack like its predecessor. So good in fact that they decided to release it as a 2-disc album. Honestly, this series is simply fantastic. Not only does it take me back into the world of the Genesis, Saturn, and Dreamcast, but it's a damn good racing game on top of that. I can only hope that one day they decide to make a third game. But until then, I can honestly say that these games just won't get old. If you're nostalgic for Sega or just enjoy kart racers, well then, you probably already own these games. But if not, what are you waiting for? Thanks for watching and supporting the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more videos.